Good morning. It's a very nice, cool morning this morning. About 5 degrees. I finished reading the Book of Mormon last night. I figured since I'm going to be doing this Book of Mormon commentary, I'll read the Book of Mormon once a month, every month this year. So I have it in my mind. What the heck I'm talking about. So I finished reading the Book of Mormon again. I've been going through several Book of Mormon commentaries. There's some frozen waterfalls. Frozen time, isn't it? It's a fascinating picture, isn't it? Anyway, I've been going through Brant Gardner's commentary and reading some other ideas from John Welch and Hugh Nibley and John Twetness, John Gee, several of the prominent LDS scholars, and I've got some fabulous commentaries still on that first chapter of the Book of Mormon that I wish to share with you. So welcome to another session of the Book of Mormon video commentary. I'm going to hop back into my library so that I can talk to you about some of the wonders of the Book of Mormon in the first chapter of 1 Nephi 1:1. At the top of the temple. I just finished reading his astonishing words.
Okay, you saw the beautiful Idaho Falls Snake River Falls in the Idaho Falls Temple, and I'm just out enjoying nature for a few minutes while I'm thinking about how to continue this commentary series. I probably should have done what I'm about to do now. I probably should have done that at the very first. I just finished reading the Book of Mormon, like I said, for this month. And I started on January 1st, and I've got CD-ROM, so I get to listen to it while I'm at work also. I have been browsing through Gardner's commentary, the 6-volume commentary, The Second Witness, and I'm very impressed. And in the process of reading through the Book of Mormon again, Brant Sharp, he catches some key themes that I really like. Now, as a basis for getting the historical context correct, there's a lot of information out. In this era, 600 BC, Brant does a very good job of distilling it all together, giving us enough details and contexts of the politics, the war, the economy, the religion, that I can't do better than just simply share his ideas out of his commentary to give us this why Nephi is so concerned and so impressed with Isaiah, and why he prophesies in the manner that he does, and how come it is such a huge crisis for Lehi and his family. All of this is set forth in Gardner's commentary, so I want to share his ideas with you. And the idea, first off, is Palestine's geography. It's that little narrow band of land with the in the north you have the Assyrian Empire. Ugarit is up there on the above the coast on the Mediterranean, above Sidon and Tyre. Down below is Egypt, and then to the desert southwest the Sinaitic wilderness and Arabia, and that little corridor, man, Palestine, the great world powers between Babylon and Assyria, fighting Egypt and fighting the Arabians, they constantly have to go right through the heart of Palestine. So Palestine has never had a lot of peace for a long time, because it is the go-between space, the territory between the great powers. And it has wreaked havoc on the Jews through the millennium. And Brant notes that. Major elements in the political setting in the Book of Mormon took form over 100 years before the Book of Mormon opened. So as a rough time frame, we have 600 BC. And so looking back 100 years, we're at 700 BC, and this is the era of Lehi's grandparents and great-grandparents. And that's very interesting how the fall of Samaria. Now, Assyria was the dominant power back in Isaiah's day, in 700 BC. Assyria was the big gun with Shalmaneser and some of those. They controlled both Israel and Judah. Now, Israel, of course, the 10 tribes of Israel was in the north, Judah was in the south, and what they call the fall of Samaria is when the Assyrians came down and they deported the 10 tribes of Israel. They didn't get as far south as Judah, but they did take those northern 10 tribes. And Gardner has something very interesting. This is in his first volume, pages 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. The fall of Samaria marked the end of the northern kingdom of Israel, and this is known as the loss of the 10 tribes. Now, Gardner notes, well, their political kingdom was lost by the Assyrian conquest. And you know, there was pressure. There was bickering, warfare, and so on and so forth between Judah in the south and the 10 tribes in the north in Samaria. We're aware of that from the Old Testament record. So they scattered them to other lands. Now, it's interesting, Jeffrey R. Chadwick has noted, he's the Associate Professor of Church History and Doctrine at BYU. Collectively, they became the lost tribes of Israel after Shalmaneser came and took them away. But not because they did not know where they were, but because they lost their identity of who they were. We know they're scattered amongst the nations. Assyria took them north, and from that point on they spread throughout the earth. So it's not a matter of where that causes them to be lost, it's a matter of who are they. They don't realize anymore that they're the lost tribes of Israel, and I thought that was really kind of an interesting insight here. Now, one of the significant events following the destruction of the northern kingdom, this was about 722 BC, was the relocation of a large number of refugees from the northern location and kingdom into Jerusalem. So we have a big influx of population. Among those refugees were likely to have been Lehi's great-grandparents or grandparents. They were in the north, we know that, because the Book of Mormon displays a beautifully perfect internal consistency of being a northern document. And John Sorensen has talked about that. What's their... Golly. Potter and Wellington have also talked about that. Boy, tip of the tongue phenomenon. I learned that in psychology years ago. So they settled in a region round about Jerusalem. Now, this significant number of Israelites appear to have fled the doomed northern kingdom, and they migrated as refugees to Judah in the south, settling in Jerusalem and other cities of the southern kingdom. This helps give us the understanding of the strain of the influx of the population, more mouths to feed, more peoples with different ideas, different ideals, and so on and so forth. Not everyone in the north was carried off by Assyria anyway. It makes perfect sense. And the archaeologists who've discovered this increased input of population just at this time after the Assyrian conquest. The destruction of Israel was a warning to Judah. However, Judah didn't pay attention for this reason. She said, well, I mean, the northern tribes, of course, Assyria was closer to them, but we now have contacts with Egypt. And we now know that in this time, the Egyptian culture and politics rose to power and influenced Palestine also. So the king, Hezekiah, said, oh, the Assyrians are no problem. I've got Egypt on my side. I'll side with Egypt. And that was the mistake they made. Hezekiah and several people He rebelled against the Assyrian domination. He seems to have been initially cooperative with Ashdod in a revolt against Assyria in 713 BC.